Most people use Gemini for quick answers, but Canvas is where Gemini starts feeling like a real work tool. Instead of just getting text in a chat box, you can build documents, edit sections directly, create simple websites, test app ideas, make dashboards, turn notes into quizzes, and even generate audio summaries from your material. The problem is that many users never open Canvas, or they treat it like a basic text editor, so they miss the features that can save them most time. In this video, you'll see how Gemini Canvas actually works, how to use it step by step, what it is good at, what it is not built for, and how to avoid the common mistakes that make people think it is less powerful than it really is. Number 1. Start with Canvas. Gemini Canvas is useful when a normal chatbot answer is not enough. In a regular Gemini chat, you ask a question, get a response, copy the answer, paste it somewhere else, edit it, then come back again when something needs to change. Canvas removes that back and forth. It gives you a working space next to the chat, where Gemini can create and update a document, a piece of code, a simple app, a study tool, or a web page, while you keep giving instructions in plain English. To start, open Gemini, go to the prompt box, and look for the Tools option. Turn on Canvas before you send your prompt. Then write what you want to create. For example, instead of saying, "Give me ideas for a landing page," say, "Create a one-page landing page for a productivity app with a hero section, 3 benefits, a pricing section, and a contact form." The difference matters because Canvas works best when the output has a clear shape. The biggest mistake beginners make is using Canvas like a normal note editor. They ask for a broad answer, then manually rewrite everything. A better approach is to treat Canvas like a live project. Tell Gemini what the final result should be, who it is for, what tone it should use, and what sections it must include. Before you hit send, check that your prompt includes the goal, the audience, the format, and the important details. After Gemini creates the first version, do not judge it as finished. Think of it as a strong first draft that you can improve step by step. Number 2. Edit the right way. The most practical feature in Canvas is selective editing. You do not need to rewrite the whole document every time something feels off. Highlight the exact sentence, paragraph, heading, or section you want to change, then ask Gemini to improve only that selected part. You can say, "Make this shorter," "Make this more confident," "Rewrite this for beginners," or "Make this sound more professional." This is much faster than copying one section into the chat and then pasting the new version back into your document. This matters because most AI mistakes happen when the model changes too much. If you ask Gemini to improve the whole document, it may rewrite parts you already liked. If you highlight only the weak section, the rest stays stable. That is the cleanest way to avoid version confusion. Canvas also gives you quick controls for changing length and tone. If a draft is too long, use the length option to compress it. If it sounds too stiff, change the tone to something more natural. But do not rely on these controls blindly. Always read the result after each change. Sometimes shortening a text removes useful details, and sometimes making it more casual can make it sound less precise. Another useful option is suggested edits. This is best when you want Gemini to review your writing, but you do not want it to replace everything automatically. Turn on suggested edits, look at each proposed change, and accept only the ones that actually improve the work. This is especially helpful for emails, scripts, reports, school assignments, business briefs, and long-form content where small wording changes can affect the meaning. Number 3. Build websites and simple apps. Canvas becomes much more powerful when you stop using it only for writing. You can ask it to build a working web page or a simple app from a plain English prompt. For example, you can say, "Turn this document into a clean one-page website with sections for the problem, the solution, key features, pricing, and a contact form." Gemini can generate the structure, the design, and the code, then show a live preview inside Canvas. The right way to do this is to start simple. Do not begin with a huge app idea that needs accounts, payments, private data, and a database. Start with something that can work in the browser: a calculator, a habit tracker, a quiz, a checklist, a small dashboard, a simple game, a landing page, or a form prototype. These projects work better because the logic is clear and self-contained. When the first version appears, test it like a real user. Click the buttons, fill out the fields, check the layout. Look for broken sections, confusing labels, missing instructions, and mobile display problems. Then ask Canvas to fix one issue at a time. For example, say, make the button more visible, add a progress bar, make this work better on mobile, or move the summary section above the form. One common mistake is asking for 10 changes at once. That often creates new problems because the model has to modify too many parts at the same time. Use short improvement cycles. Build the first version, test it, fix the biggest issue, test again, then improve the design. This is how you turn a rough prototype into something actually useful. Number 4. Use data and dashboards. Canvas is also useful for turning raw information into something easier to understand. If you have numbers in a spreadsheet, video stats, sales data, study results, or survey answers, you can paste the important rows directly into Gemini and ask Canvas to build a dashboard. This works better than giving Gemini a vague instruction like, analyze my data. Be specific. Say what the numbers represent, what you want to learn, and what charts or summaries you need. For example, if you are analyzing YouTube videos, include columns like title, views, average view duration, click-through rate, upload date, and topic. Then ask Canvas to create a dashboard that shows top-performing videos, weak videos, best topics, audience retention patterns, and simple recommendations. The goal is not just to make the data look nice. The goal is to make decisions easier. Before you paste data, clean it. Remove private information, unnecessary columns, duplicate rows, and anything that does not help the analysis. Very large data sets can be difficult for Gemini to handle well, so start with the most important sample. If the output looks wrong, check whether your data had missing values, inconsistent labels, or unclear column names. After Canvas builds a dashboard, do not assume every insight is correct. Compare the charts with your original numbers. If a total looks strange, ask Gemini to explain how it calculated it. If a chart is confusing, ask for a clearer version. If the dashboard is for a team or client, ask Canvas to add plain English explanations under each chart so people understand what the numbers mean without needing technical knowledge. Number 5. Create study tools and audio. Canvas is not only for work projects, it can also turn information into study material. If you have a long article, report, lecture notes, or a complicated document, paste the material into Gemini and ask Canvas to create a quiz, flashcards, or a study guide. This is useful because it forces the information into a format where you can test yourself instead of just reading passively. For a quiz, ask for multiple choice questions, the correct answer, and a short explanation after each answer. For flashcards, ask for simple terms on the front and clear explanations on the back. For a study guide, ask for key ideas, definitions, examples, and common mistakes. The more clearly you describe the learning goal, the better the output will be. A practical prompt would be, create a beginner-friendly quiz from this text. Use 12 questions. Make the questions practical, include explanations, and focus on the most important concepts. This works better than simply asking, make a quiz, because Gemini knows the level, length, and purpose. Canvas can also help turn written material into an audio overview. This is useful when you want to absorb a document while doing something else. The important thing is to treat audio as a review tool, not as your only source. Listen to it to understand the big ideas, then return to the original document for details, exact wording, and anything important. Audio summaries can be helpful, but they can also simplify or skip parts, so they should not replace careful reading when accuracy matters. Number 6. Know the limits. Canvas is powerful, but it is not a full software development platform by itself. The biggest limitation is that most Canvas apps are prototypes. They can show how an idea works, but they usually do not include a real backend, user accounts, secure storage, payments, or live database connections. If you create a habit tracker, a calculator, or a small dashboard, it may work inside the browser, but the data may not stay saved after you close the session unless proper storage is added. This means you should use Canvas for drafts, demos, internal tools, learning projects, prototypes, and early versions. If you want to publish something customer-facing, ask a developer to review the code, improve security, connect real data, and test it properly. Never put private user data, passwords, payment information, or sensitive business details into a quick prototype without understanding how it is handled. Use code view when you want to inspect or copy the source. If something is broken, use the console or error information to ask Gemini for a targeted fix. Instead of saying, "It does not work," describe the exact problem. The submit button does nothing when clicked. The chart is not displaying. Or, the mobile layout overlaps the text. Clear bug reports lead to better fixes. The best workflow is simple. Start with a specific project. Give Canvas a clear prompt. Test the first version. Improve one part at a time. Verify the result. Then export or share it only after checking the important details. Canvas works best when you use it as a production workspace, not just a chatbot. It helps you move from idea to draft, from draft to prototype, and from prototype to something you can show, test, study, or hand off for the next step.